Hey, this is Mossy, and welcome back. This is Cupid. Cupid. It is a free to play visual novel on Steam, and I am gonna try and play it. I've heard good things, and this is the first screen that came up, so I had to put a different scene in OBS, which is this scene. It's just pitch black. There's nothing here except my voice. In case something goes wrong with, I don't know, if something sexual comes up or something really violent or anything of that nature, because Twitch does not like those things and probably ban me. So yeah, that's what I was busy doing. Okay, let's try this. Let's hope this is less less chaotic than the Twinkle Star Sprites game. Whew. Oh, the mature filter is on by default. This feature can be turned on or off at any time during gameplay in the options menu. Please be reminded that this game is unsuitable for players under the age of 16, even with the mature filter. Oh shit. Yeah, let's have it on just in case. And welcome. This is Cupid. I love you. I love you. I love you. I love you. There's no need to explain. It's only natural. A mother loves her daughter more than anything else in the world. He hates you, doesn't he? A whole lot of them despise you, don't they? Chasing you into the forest and gouging a hole into your leg. Whoa! All because you smiled at their husbands. And you know what? You deserve it. You freak. You disgusting, horrible, filthy little girl. Didn't I tell you to stay away from them? Serves you right for being a dirty girl you are. Jesus Christ. But you don't have to worry, my darling. It's alright. Even if the whole world wishes you dead, I promise you this. Your mother will always be by your side. My goodness, child, what has happened to you? A girl was slumped in the doorway, soaked by the rain. Her legs were covered in dirt and blood. She lifted her head upon hearing the priest's voice and stared at him with blank eyes. Bless me, Father, for I have sinned. She hobbled forwards, her bloodied leg giving way. Automatically, the priest rushed forward to steady her. Years of spiritual training had prepared him for the most unexpected guests to his church. He sprung into action. He ushered her to a pew, brought out some clean cloth and antiseptic, and began to bandage the wound on her leg. Yet, throughout all of this, he found that he couldn't take his eyes off her. He would be gazing at the roll of bandages in his hand, deciding how to tie them. And then out of nowhere, he would be staring into her eyes. Even with all the blood and grime smeared across her face, he could not deny that she was absolutely beautiful. How old was she? 20? 18? 16? Her face was so young. Okay, hold on, Mr. Priest. The priest had long since aged past his desire for the opposite sex, but somehow something about her enraptured him. When he realized his thoughts, he quickly steered his mind toward other matters. My child, What happened to you? He seemed to take all the time in the world before responding. He looked at me. Look? He looked at me and he touched me. And then he started to kiss me. At first, the priest didn't understand. Then he realized with a jolt of anger what she meant. It was happening more and more often these days. The young men of France these days were spirited, uncontrollable ruffians. A lady walking home by herself one night would be prey to a few number of them. Lust. One of the 7 deadly sins, the one that the priest personally despised the most. Furrowing his brow in sorrow, the priest laid a hand on her thigh. You're safe now, child. God's house is a sanctuary for the faithful. I don't think he'll protect me. He looked at her in confusion. You see, Father, I have sinned again. Right there among the pews before the altar of God, she bowed her head. I'm sorry. Was she apologizing to him or to someone else? Her hair hid her face and her eyes, and the priest could make neither head or nor tail of her. He suddenly realized that his hand was still on her thigh, and he hurriedly drew it away. I'm sorry. She repeated this phrase over and over. After a while, the priest got up. Don't fret, child. You're not to blame. I will contact the local constable, but in the meantime, you're free to make yourself at home here. I will fetch you a hot drink. He patted her hand and left to go to the back room. She remained seated on the pew, her head bent forward. As the priest's footsteps faded away, the entire church fell into silence. Oh. Hold up. Now that it was in the dead of night, the clouds covered the sky. Barely a sliver of moonlight filtered through the stained glass. The girl sat alone in a ring of darkness. She opened her mouth. No, I know. If I might say my piece, surely. Yes, mother. But he is so very kind. Haven't you learned your lesson, idiot? I fear for your safety. Oh, shit. Oh, it's a choice. Jesus. What the heck? Am I the voice in her head? I fear for your safety. Child, follow mother's words and leave. You saw the look in his eyes, didn't you? You cannot stay here. Even the man of God can stain you with the filthiest colors. Be a good girl and follow mother's words. But it's cold outside, mother. The rain has not let up. Can't I stay? Oh, I just got an achievement. Mother's intuition. Yeah, I'm kind of worried about her. You leave now, and that is final. I will not hear another argument. I'm sorry. Please don't be angry, mother. I understand. I shall leave at once. How am I going to mind you like this? You attract so much misfortune wherever you go. My stupid little girl. Always a blight, aren't you? Whatever will you do without me? I'm sorry, mother. Thank you for always guiding me. It's all my fault. The girl sat in silence. Mother was right, after all. She was always right. She's always right. Everything was her fault. Her fists shook with a mixture of fear and conviction. She had to do penance. Mother, give me strength. There is something I wish to do. The girl rose from the pew. In front of her was the altar, and on top of the altar was an ornately decorated cross. It was as wide as her head, and the tip of the cross had been crafted such a way that it was razor sharp. She left the pew, knelt briefly, and then walked over to the altar. Don't tell me. You're quite sure you're doing this? The girl's arm trembled ever so slightly. What other way is there for me to atone? She picked up the cross. Oh, my darling daughter. Mother is proud of you. Slowly, she brought the sharp end close to her face, so close that it hovered just above her left eye. And then she... Oh my god. Oh my god, what? What? A scruffy young girl in tattered clothes peeked through the open gates of Chateau du Sommeil. Sommel? I know a little bit French, so hopefully I'm not completely butchering the French language here. An afternoon goûter was being held in its gardens. Oh, this is where JP would like rock at this stuff. People from high-class estates strolled around the manicured gardens while chatting loudly with one another. There were beautiful ladies clad in silk and velvet, their necks adorned with pearls and jewels. A variety of foods were displayed on the tables. The girl stared at the food. She hadn't eaten properly for the past few days. Are you hungry? Hungry? Oh my god. I'm so sorry. Are you hungry, my dear? Yes, mother. Don't you worry. Mother will provide. You do not need those high-class foods anyway. It will upset your stomach. Now, we've stayed long enough. Let us leave. Surely we can look around a bit. It's still a little early. There's something else that called to her other than the party itself. She walked to and fro from the gates, peeking at the crowd despite the urgings of her mother to leave. Just a tiny glance would be enough. The girl smiled at the thought of him, the owner of the chateau, the Marquis de Gaulle. The girl was drawn to him. He wasn't the same as other people. He seemed different, somehow. He was kind to her and would always hand her food when she delivered flowers. Her heart felt at ease with him. So... Oh boy. He's the same as everyone else. Or everyone. The same as everyone. Greedy. Insatiable. Maybe not for you. But for someone else. Something else. But he's a kind man, Mother. Don't let his kindness fool you. Sweetest tongue, hide sharpest tooth, child. Wait, is that an actual saying? She bit her lip. Why do you even bother with him? Now I got another achievement, cynical mother. Alright. He makes me feel that there are still good people in this world, Mother. It's hard to say. We do not know the real intentions people have. One can only hope that real charity exists. But even good people will always put their needs first. even your precious Marquis. Don't you think I'm a good person, Mother? Of course I do. Of course, child, you are special. Haven't I raised you as such? I've tried my best, my dearest. Yes, Mother, you keep me right. I love you. The girl stared at her shoes and looked around for a bit, hoping for just a glance before she left. And there he was. There was no harm in looking, she reasoned. She would never enter the Marquis's world. Let her heart be filled with hope. He turned his eyes in her direction. Did he smile at her? The girl's heart stopped. Did he recognize her? She beamed. My, is this creature deaf as well as dumb? It might be, poor thing. Mademoiselle! A voice called to the Rose Girl. She gasped. It seemed that somebody else had noticed her presence. She turned to leave. No, no, my dear. Poor little creature. Don't run away. Charlotte, she stinks. Don't touch her. Came to crash the party, little urchin. You hungry? Her stomach gave a low rumble. She was always hungry, it seemed, no matter how much or how little she ate. Encouraged by the kindness the Marquis had shown her, the girl approached the woman. She teetered towards their table. What are you selling? Look at this poor creature. Is she selling roses? Those are all ugly ones. But not as appalling as the rags she's covered herself in. Are you trying your best to be this repulsive? Don't be mean, Antoinette. Perhaps it's the commoner fashion nowadays. They laughed while gawking at her and her wares. Oh my, she only has one eye! Ghastly, but I can't look away. The other lady nodded her head. Like a sideshow attraction, you mean? The freaks at the carnivals. She's darling in her own monstrous, dirty way. Maybe we can keep it. Hello, do you want some bread, urchin? Jesus. Well, speak up. Oh, I'm like mixing all of them up. Maybe her tongue is short. Add that to the list of her sterling qualities. Quiet, Antoinette. Come on, don't be shy. Do you want some food? Let us hear you speak. Yes, madame. What? Yes, madame. I would be grateful. One of the ladies clapped in mockery at her reply. Oh, she talks. The ladies handed her the bread, but it was snatched away just before her fingers grazed it. Not before you dance for us first. Oh, make her do a handstand. I've seen one of those street people do that. Quite marvelous. I'd like to see that. This party is getting quite boring. Oh, come on, ma bête. Dance for your food. The girl looked at the beautiful, cruel faces of the women. That look on them was a burning desire to hurt something simply because they could. She knew that look. Before they touched her and hurt her, they had that look burning in their eyes. Oh, look what you did, Claudette. She's shivering you like a leaf. That wasn't a real sentence. Poor thing. Lady was laughing as she said those words. I didn't do anything. She'd be grateful we're offering this much. Besides, these commoners are supposed to be jolly in their misery. Come on, girl. Show us your joy. The girl moved away as they laughed. Mother, please save me. Mother. Didn't I tell you to leave? Or didn't I tell you people are cruel? Not all people are like this. Yeah. Now you call for me. Try to deal with this situation yourself. You have put yourself in this position anyway. I hope you learn your lesson. Hey there! A child's voice called out from behind her. They belonged to a girl around 7 with chubby cheeks and a look of curiosity in her eyes. She wore an old blue dress, which somewhat patched at the corners but kept clean and tidy. She's not rich, but she had an air as if she owned the ground she stood on. Another commoner? This party is absolutely teeming with them. The Marquis loves these things. I heard he picks them randomly from the street. Maybe I should get me one too. Do you think it's fashionable abroad in his birth country, I mean? Persia? No, I heard he was from India. I heard he was a bastard son of a Greek queen. Goodness, that is so far-fetched. I could barely pronounce his name though. He really should change it to something more acceptable. Who knows what kind of demons he might attract with such a blasphemous name. Aha! It must be why all these nasty little horde creatures flock around him. Oh. Devil or not, I'll forgive him if he kisses my hand. The ladies laughed. Hello, aren't you shameless? Don't lie, we all know why we're here. The ladies gossiped among themselves, openly ignoring the girl. The young girl took the slighting with a shrug. She approached the table and asserted her dominance, or presence. What you doing? Goodness, they don't take a hint, do they? Throw something shiny and might distract them. Hey, you've been holding that bread for a long time. Aren't you gonna give it to her? She pointed at the shabby rose vendor. What do you care? Do you want the bread for yourself? I bet she's hungry too. I know. Maybe you should toss the bread and see if they'll fight for it. The ladies laughed to themselves. The girl stared at them with confusion, her brows furrowed in a childlike understanding. Next thing everyone knew, she had swiped the bread from the woman's hand. Oh my! How rude! Horrible, filthy girl, give that back! The girl sniffed the piece of bread and nibbled at the surface. Yummy, still warm. She shoved the bread in the urchin's face. Wait, what? Wait, what? Why did the narrator say that? The scrumptious scent of bread flooded the rose girl's nose. Lick it. The sugared butter tastes good. No, you devil child, give that back. Why is the narrator calling her an urchin? The urchin licked it. Her tongue was coated in sweetness. She stood there, squeezing the tastes in her tongue. The girl grinned at her and couldn't help but grin back. Sorry, here you go. It's all yours. Ugh, disgusting. Like we're gonna eat anything that's been in your filthy mouths. Wow, so this is ours now. Your ladies are so nice. Cheeky little brat. I'll have you thrown out of this party. I'll have you... A young man strode to the commotion. A sweet scent lingered as he passed. The rose girl felt her mouth well up. His presence filled her body almost as if her hunger was abated. She blushed furiously. What a strange effect he had. Ladies. Oh! Sire Guillaume. Guillaume? Is it Guillaume? I know like L's are like sort of silent, I think. Well, I just came to check on my esteemed guests. Is everything alright? Are you enjoying yourselves? One of the ladies started fanning herself with obvious annoyance. Well, these little beasts have been harassing us. Yes, my lord. We were just minding our own business when this little girl swiped the food off our table. Horrible little nits. The girl stuck out her tongue at them. A lady wiped her eyes in mock tears. See? Look at that! It's absolutely monstrous how these children act around adults now. There's no respect, monsieur. I worry for the next generation.
Oh, Charlotte, don't cry.
Well, my lord, we would all breathe a little easier if these children were sent on their way. Yes, who knows what kind of mischief they might be up to.
They might set fire to the tables, you see.
Oh? Or steal our jewelry. In fact, I think my pocket watch is missing. No. How unfortunate. One of the ladies continued her childish wailing. It is, monsieur. It is unfortunate how you allow your most important guest to be treated this way.
Please deal with this vermins. Vermins?
Lady, you got your grammar mixed up.
Throw them out. Now.
Oh, my sweet ladies, I am stricken with grief at your misfortunes. Allow me to offer my heartfelt apologies. Unfortunately, this child is my important guest today. And you are, sad to say, paltry squatters. Excuse me? Madame Charlotte of Montpellier, I don't remember sending you an invite. Same for you, Lady Antoinette of Rennes. Or Lady Aunt Claudette of Lyon. Most people I invited are huge patrons of music. That is why they are here today. They came to listen to Mademoiselle Catherine Louise Purig. She is a 7-year-old piano prodigy who played for the Queen last summer. The man pointed at the girl busy chewing half her bread. The Rose Girl just stared at the unfolding situation. Well, that's... I am sure you were aware of that, were you not? No matter. I am always happy to see you, ladies. It is my pleasure to have you here. But I hope you don't mind giving some food away to my townspeople. That is why I keep my gates open. My servers are instructed to serve anyone who passes by, not just my guests. But don't you fret, my darlings, there's plenty more to be served. The ladies blushed in embarrassment. One of them began to fan herself even faster. Excuse me. The Marquis walked up to the two girls. The Rose Girl's heart beat so fast it made her head feel light and dizzy. She had never been this close to him. It made her feel a mixture of fear and elation. Lady Catherine, your father has been looking for you. It is almost time for your performance. The girl looked up at the Marquise and did a little curtsy. My apologies, sire. Didn't mean to cause clatter. Young chuckled. I saw the whole thing, ma chérie. You put those ladies in their place. They were being mean to her. Guillaume narrowed his eyes at the quiet girl. She hid behind her basket of roses. She couldn't look back at him directly. He was like the sun. It hurt just to be in his presence. Yet, there was relief in her heart as he stepped closer to her. I've seen you before, haven't I? The Rose Girl nodded and made a curtsy. I deliver roses to your house sometimes, sire. Yes, the girl with the sweetest face. The Rose Girl blushed. I love your roses, by the way. They stay fresh longer than they should. You've tended to them with love. Thank you, sire. Do you have a name, young lady? What's the matter? It's alright, young lady. If you'd rather... Let's call her Rosa! Rosa. It fits her. I think she forgot her name. Or she has lost it. The Marquis nodded wisely. A valid point. Are you alright with that, Rosa? Yes.
Come on, Rosa. You'll watch me play, right?
Her eyes darted to the girl with the marquise.
Oh, Sir Gilly doesn't mind.
Gilly?
He's really nice to me and my family. And he helps people around town too. He won't throw you out.
The marquise held his right hand in the air as if swearing an oath. I won't.
See? Come on. You're invited now. You're my special guest. There's plenty of food inside, Rosa. Please help yourself.
Thank you, sire.
Rosa's coming! Yay! Now's my first public performance, Rosa. I'm a bit nervous.
Catherine scratched her head.
What will I do if I make a mistake? Papa will be very upset.
The Marquis knelt in front of Catherine and rubbed her shoulders fondly. You won't make a mistake, my chérie. As long as you put your heart into the keys, play to touch your audience, and any mistake won't matter. Do you understand? Catherine stared at the Marquis.
Not really.
The man chuckled. You will. Someday. Just play your first song with me in your mind, will you? Something that you think will make me smile. Guillaume held Catherine's clear young eyes in his gaze. He kissed her hand. It was covered with sticky sugar and breadcrumbs. Catherine blushed. It was the first time she looked embarrassed by anything.
It would be my pleasure, sir.
Catherine trudged up the wooden podium and walked towards the middle of the stage. The crowd's chatter died down. She curtsied in front of the audience, waved to her father, and stole a glance at Guillaume. The man gave her a tiny nod. She sat down in front of the piano, admiring the cream and ebony keys underneath her fingers. Her own piano was broken and beaten. Father had sold his horse for it. The A3 never played, and the strings would creak when it was cold. But it had never failed her. She knew the keys like they were her own fingers. She whispered to the new piano softly, as if coaxing a beautiful, untamed animal.
Let's be friends, okay?
She saw Rosa at the far end of the podium, watching her diligently. There was a renewed vigor in her blood. She could hear the keys calling out to her.
A song that would make him smile.
She placed her fingers on the keys. She began to play. At the ring of the first few notes, it became apparent to the audience that this girl was something special. Here was a little girl, barely tall enough to reach the pedals of the piano, playing as if she owned it. There were times she'd miss a note or two, but that didn't matter. She played the song to make someone smile, and it touched everyone's present. Her musical skill was far beyond her years. Her fingers caressed the keys as if she was making a flower crown, carefully weaving the petals. She knew the correct way to tie the leaves so that they wouldn't tear, like all smart little girls did. As the piano sang under her hands, Catherine seemed to disappear right in front of the audience's eyes. She was just a vision after all, somebody leading down a dream. A dream of a garden, the springtime, the shade of a tree on a windy day. The couples in the audience tightened their grip on the hands of their partners. Some closed their eyes and let the music saturate their soul. Sweet memories of youth, a first love, the yawn of a newborn. Rose's eyes shone as she stared at Catherine. Her heart was captured by this image of her, a young girl swaying her head to the music, smiling as the notes poured out of her. She couldn't take her eye away from Catherine's glowing face. Was this happiness? Was this love? She looked like she was in love. And she was, wasn't she? In her innocence, she was still in love with life. In love with her family, with her pets, in love with every new discovery. She was full of hope. It was a bittersweet feeling for Rosa. A happy teardrop rolled down her cheek. She wanted to warm herself in that hope if she could. In the audience, Guillaume and Catherine's father sat beside each other. Sire Paride, your daughter is amazing.
She is, isn't she?
I mean, pardon my arrogance, my liege. I am a very proud father, you see. No pardon necessary, sire. Has she found a sponsor yet? The Duke of Versailles once spoke to me about it, but we have not made any arrangements. Then I must steal her away as soon as possible. Sire? I'd like to become Catherine's primary sponsor, if that is alright with you. What, sire? And to further cement my status, that piano she is playing right now, it is hers. I have bought it for her. Francois' eyes widened in astonishment. That is... Francois gulped. That is beyond generous, sire. Guillaume smiled. Well, I must make it hard for you to refuse me, you see. I took the opportunity of asking you outright. You see, the Duke might offer an extravagant piano plated in gold. In that case, I have no choice to humbly concede. What? I'm kidding. The Duke of Versailles is the worst miser you will ever meet. The men chuckled. Of course, I shall be paying her for her musical tutoring as required, along with the ample stipend to accommodate your family. You don't have to look so surprised, Monsieur Paride. Your daughter is a star. Oh jeez. There is an effervescence about her that enraptures the soul. There is no doubt in my mind that she will succeed. Thank you deeply, my liege. Please call me by my name, Monsieur. Let me remind you, this generosity isn't without charge. Her tutoring will be done at my house. I want to monitor her progress. Apart from that, I'd very much like Catherine to visit me and play from time to time. Music is one of my true passions. Her presence would benefit my mood tenfold. Of course, sire. That is a small price to pay for all of your offers. On the contrary, monsieur. You don't have to decide now. Kindly think about it. Thank you, my lord. Sire Guillaume. After the performance, Catherine and Rosa went to the Marquis' garden to play. Francois and Guillaume lingered on their tables, sorting out the tales of Catherine's further education. Emily Paride wandered about the crowd, searching for a familiar face. She had arrived halfway through Catherine's performance just in time to gush at her little sister's applause. Unfortunately, she couldn't find her father in the crowd. When she finally caught sight of the back of his head, she approached him hastily. Father, there you are. Oh. Let's see. Voice. Father, there you are. I've been looking all over for you. Emily stopped as she saw the man her father was talking to. It was none other than the Marquis himself. She fixed her hair self-consciously and curtsied. My lord, pardon my intrusion. I didn't realize. Guillaume smiled at her kindly. You are free to intrude any time, my lady. Emily smiled back. Just as the rumor said, the Marquis was easy on the eyes. To whom do I owe the pleasure of your acquaintance? This is my eldest daughter, Emily. Pardon me for not introducing her earlier. Charmed. Guillaume offered her a seat. Emily sat down across the man. Well, it seems talent and good looks run in the family. Francois rubbed his neck. Yes, my daughters are my pride and joy. Thankfully, they both took after her mother. Surely not, Monsieur Puride. The eyes are yours. Earnest and loving eyes. Emily snorted at such sappy words. Her father was clearly basking in the compliments. If this was really the famous Guillaume the rumors talked about, then he wasn't exactly much of a charmer, was he? She didn't know what all the fuss was about. The ladies in the house she worked for couldn't seem to stop talking about this man. Admittedly, there was something morbidly curious about the way he looked at people. Like he was always distracted, and could only say words that were expected of him. I'm pleased to finally met you, sire. I've heard a lot about you on my travels. All good things, I hope. Depends on the tabloid and the day of the week, Emily thought to herself and chuckled. You are a governess, I was told. Oh, where do you work? With the Dmitri household, sire. Ah, yes. I heard you were marrying into the family soon. Oh, father, I told you not to tell anybody yet. I didn't, but you know how people talk. Word travels fast. Pardon the comment then, my lady. Please. Your betrothed is a lucky man, I'm sure. The conversation endured through the afternoon. Small talk, musical composers, their little town, Catherine's musical background, Francois' students, and Emily's work. Emily played with her napkin, often offering droll opinions on the particularly droll topics. And all throughout the exchange, Emily observed the infamous Marquis de Gaulle. This was him? The audacious, shameless flirt of the royal court and tabloids? According to the rumors, he was able to bed both the widowed Countess of Devonshire and her daughter. At the same time? Whoa, okay. And even the tumultuous relationship with the Prince of Garnet. He didn't limit himself to royalty, or so the tabloid said. His latest fling was that English poet, who they say almost killed himself when he was caught with another man. Or a woman. At this point, who knew which was real and what was a blatant lie made up by the newspapers? She had looked forward to meeting him. And here he was, finally, talking about sampling the new bakery's creme brulee. Oh, that sounds good. She couldn't say she was disappointed exactly, but the Marquis was a depressingly normal man. Maybe even boring, Emily ventured. She watched as his gaze flickered across her hair and her nose before lazily trailing away. How infuriating. She wondered if he would suddenly say something coy, or insist to dance with her. Something outrageous. Honestly, so she could shoot him down. Jeez! This man who everyone was interested in. That would be a small victory for reasonable women everywhere. But the Marquis was nothing but polite. He didn't ogle. He didn't touch unnecessarily. No audacious gestures or suggestive winks of the eye. He would not even look at her for more than 2 seconds. Maybe she was not pretty enough to flirt with? Maybe? Emily bit her lip. She couldn't be thinking that. But there were also times that he would quietly look into her eyes when the conversation lulled. When the words spoken were without meaning, their eyes would converse further. To Emily, he started to look lonely under the facade of caprice. He seemed tired of all the gallivanting, the rumors and numerous flings. We're all a little lonely, aren't we? Perhaps even he. He invited the family over to his chateau and commented on how empty the building felt sometimes. Musi? What the heck is music? Music was his guilty pleasure. It got him through the cold nights, he said with a sad grin. How he wouldn't mind a warm soul to touch. And before she could stop herself, Emily had begun to imagine his lips on her cheek, or on her neck, on one of those cold nights. What is happening? Emily shook her head, trying to erase the thoughts in her mind. They were having a perfectly mundane conversation. She didn't know where those thoughts came from. Fortunately, her father didn't seem to notice. Music and loneliness struck a nerve with Francois Paris. He had immersed himself in his music tutoring his students and Catherine ever since his wife had gotten sick. It had been 6 years, but sometimes the nights were cold. For Francois, the Marquis was speaking to his soul. He was a kindred spirit. He wasn't a pompous showboat like all the other royalty Catherine had played for. The Marquis even had a wine collection he wanted to show Francois. Such a down-to-earth, generous young man. Emily, your face is flushed. Are you alright? I'm fine. Just the sun's probably. It is not true, of course. This afternoon sun had already lost most of its heat. Thankfully, Catherine provided this distraction. She ran towards their little huddle and flung her arms around her father's torso, chattering happily about gardens and butterflies. A young, ragged girl followed behind her. Emily wasn't sure how old the girl was. Her dirty blonde hair hid the left side of her face. You could see faint traces of scars peeking through. A surge of motherly affection caught hold of her heart. Hello there, young lady. The girl looked down at her toes, but she gave her a shy smile. I see you made a crown of flowers. You look very pretty. Thank you, madame. Catherine gave it to me.
Sister, this is Rosa. She's really nice. She knows the name of all the flowers in Sir Gilly's garden.
Catherine, there you go again with your silly names.
Sister, help me convince Papa to let Rosa stay with us.
Catherine?
Papa, please! Please let her stay with us. She doesn't have anywhere to go.
Now, Catherine, that is not very nice. Oh, what was? I just mixed his voice with... Oh, I mixed his voice with Emily's voice. I guess that makes kind of sense. Since they are father and daughter. So she could have adopted that accent. Rosa here is a girl. She's not a kid you can just pluck off the street and take home like you always do with stray animals. What the hell? She's a natural sleeping beauty. Goodness knows we all have the stray cats of France living in our house.
Yes, I know she's not a kitten. I know she's a girl. But shouldn't we take her home even more so?
Francois sighed. Guillaume chuckled under his breath. He was clearly enjoying this exchange. Your daughter has very unique views, Sir Paris.
Well, Sir Gilly, what do you think?
Huh? Guillaume's face lost his casual bystander look.
You're a Marquis. I'm sure my father would follow your orders, right? Should we take Rosa home?
Guillaume's brows furrowed at being put on the spot so suddenly. He stole a glance at Francois, who was silently pleading him with his eyes not to humor the child. He cleared his throat. Well, I'm sure it's up to your father since he owns the house. He will have to clothe and feed Rosa, you see.
Yes, But I've got that figured out. Ever since my sister moved to work, nobody minds the house anymore. And I have to wash the dishes every time. Ugh. Papa's so busy, and we always have enough food for the two of us. If Rosa stays, then I wouldn't be so lonely on my own. She'll wear sister-old clothes, and will mind the house when both sister and when both sister and father are away. She can wash the dishes sometimes, and I'll wash them. Sometimes.
Guillaume and Francois shared a look.
And besides, if it were up to me, I'd have people take one girl home in their house and give them food. Girls don't even eat that much. Not sure about boys.
She thought for a bit.
But I'm sure it's not too much that people can't take them home too.
She has a kind heart.
One time, I ate one whole plate of potatoes and my stomach hurt. If Rosa was there, I wouldn't have to eat so much. Maybe.
Guillaume couldn't help but laugh. Yeah, I would definitely. That's adorable. Francois rubbed his neck in embarrassment. I'm so sorry, sire. She's very headstrong. Father, I'm sure taking Rosa in wouldn't be much trouble for us financially, yes? My new work pays better. I'm sure we can adjust. Well, about that, perhaps if Rosa works in my household, it wouldn't be much of a burden to your family side, Burrid.
Sir Gilly is great.
You truly are a kind soul, sir. Not at all. I'm sure I needed her help more than she needs mine. Isn't that right, Rosa? Aw, happy ending. In that case, I'd love to offer my house to Rosa. Although I'm still worried that this is supposed to be more complicated, sire. What about her family or her friends? Are we violating any laws, perhaps? I'm not even sure. I don't know what's going on anymore. Oh! As long as it's consensual, sire, the details can be smoothed out later. The girl was quiet the entire time. She was looking at her toes or at Catherine. Rosa, do you have any family? Relatives or friends you stay with? No, sire. My mother died a long time ago. But she still guides me, always. So, please don't be compelled to mind me.
No! Don't go back to the streets, Rosa! It's September! It's gonna be really cold soon. Sir Gilly will even give you work. Stay with us.
But, Catherine... Francois sighed in surrender. Alright. She can stay for the night.
Papa!
Just for the night. Then we'll see if she wants to stay for longer. Catherine, you cannot hold people in their place just because you want them there. Do you understand? If Rosa wants to leave, she may leave. You cannot keep her like an object. Guillaume cleared his throat. That sounds like sound advice, Sire Purd.
Yes, Papa, I understand.
Rosa, please make yourself comfortable in our home. Thank you.
Papa's the best.
Catherine turned to Guillaume again.
Sir Gilly, don't you think if everyone with a house takes one person home, nobody would freeze in the winter?
Actually, yeah. That's some good advice, but like then I don't know. I mean, I live alone. If anyone else wants to like bunk up with me, I'll let them. But like, yeah, I'll just like let them bunk for a while.
You should make it into a law.
No.
They'll obey you because you're a marquis. And because you're tall.
Oh, if only it worked that way. So do people obey my orders because I'm tall? What a compliment.
Well, you're taller than my papa, at least. He'll never be a marquis.
Francois pulled on his daughter's ear with embarrassment. Catherine, mind your manners. I'm so sorry, sire. Kim shook his head, his eyes trailing over the period family. Emily watched him curiously. The same sadness once again surfaced for the briefest moment. You have a lovely family, sire. I'm quite jealous. You make me want to settle down myself someday. He chuckled. Maybe. Emily's heart skipped a beat. Did he just look at her when he said that? She couldn't be sure. Catherine is perfect the way she is. It is one of the reasons why I'm very invested in her. Guillaume knelt down so that he was eye to eye with Catherine. He patted her head. You are a very intelligent and kind-hearted girl, Catherine. You are a star. Mon étoile. Someday, I know you will change the world. At least, I'd like to see you try. Mother, help me. My chest. I can't breathe. No. Catherine! What just happened? It's funny, is it not? They always leave you. Such is the way of the world. The more you love, the more you lose. Oh, seems they will. It seems like they'll stay forever, but they never do. I'm the only one who stays, my lovely Rose. My love is the only love you will need. You were always so weak, always so loving to people who do not deserve it. I told you to get rid of her, didn't I? I told you to be wary. I knew it from the start, my Rose. What? Are we talking about Catherine right now? I don't like any of these answers, actually. Just go with the first one. She's nothing but selfish. You fought so hard. You never used to fight with me. But now, she killed herself. Your sacrifice lost in her selfish ways. I knew she would just cause you pain. Wait, is she talking about her mom? I'm glad you're back to me. I was worried about you, darling. She almost led you astray. Away from me. Trust in mother, darling. I'm just glad to have you back to myself. Your silence bothers me, child. She was important to me, Mother. I loved her. Mother only laughed as Rosa screamed out her pain. Rosa felt strong arms shake her awake. Rosa. She opened her eyes and was hit by a strange sadness that crushed her. She was dazed for a moment. Why was she so sad? And then she remembered. Her best friend was gone. She was gone. What happened? Rosa? How are you feeling? Guillaume sat by her bed, a hand in hers. Rosa didn't realize she had been holding onto it tightly in her fitful sleep. She broke from his grasp, and clutched her knees. Rosa. She remained silent. I came to check on you. You went into shock and lost consciousness. I can only imagine how hard it must have been for you to see her like that. His words echoed in her brain, yet she did not register much of their meeting. Rosa still refused to speak, and Guillaume fidgeted with his glove. The wake will take place as soon as possible, Rosa. I just wanted to let you know that she's being taken care of. He's hiding something. There was a slight triumph in Mother's voice. He wants to get rid of her body as soon as possible. Don't you see it, child? Tell me you're not falling for this. Rosa was tired. Mother, always a cynic, would say such things. She hated anyone who came close to Rosa's heart. She didn't want to hear it. She didn't want to deal with anything right now. All she wanted to do was wallow in her loneliness, to curl up inside the hole Catherine had left behind and sleep. My child, tell me you see it. What the heck happened? Remember the fear in Catherine's eyes in her last days. You have seen it, haven't you? She was mostly hostile, but sometimes when her sanity returned, she was afraid. Afraid of this man. How well do you even know him, child? I've known him for as long as I knew Catherine, Mother. He's a close friend. I didn't ask how long you've known him, but how well. Beyond that mess he displays in public view, do you even know his past? Do you even know any of his ambitions or secrets? He was always a private man, Mother. Think back, child. Isn't it curious how all his past relationships have ended in disaster? Everything he touches crumbles. That is not enough to accuse him of anything. You idiot! He's different! He does not belong! You have felt it too, haven't you? Rosa looked at Guillaume with new eyes now. A hint of doubt slithered out from beneath her sadness. Rosa wanted something to blame, a cask for all her regrets. Guillaume looked like the perfect candidate, didn't he? Yes, you're finally seeing it. Open your eyes, child. It made sense. Guillaume and Catherine's relationship began to pewter off into coldness right before she died. Her mental instability only served to compound the fracture in their relationship. Perhaps Guillaume was tired of her and had her killed off for convenience. Or perhaps Catherine, in her psychotic state, killed herself to spite him. Rosa stared at the man beside her. He is not to be trusted, child. He is a demon. Guillaume returned to Rosa's angry stare with a resolute look. I know you must hate me, Rosa. I am aware that I only aggravated Catherine's conditions with my presence. I know that feeling when I am not wanted. He stood up, a hard yet kind look on his face. Just remember that I will always be here for you. As much as I was there for Catherine, even though she spat me out. Rosa bit her lip. When Catherine had refused to eat, it had been Guillaume who fed her and attended to her. Despite Catherine hurling abuse at him, he had tried to care for the sick woman himself. Lies. All lies. Keeping up appearances. Then, what is it that he has done, Mother? Catherine committed suicide. What? It was not by his hand that she died. Are you just gonna leave it at that? Look at his face and tell me you trust him wholeheartedly. Rosa tried to search for the answer in Guillaume's eyes. But, as always, his face betrayed only a few emotions. I don't know. Mother is screaming now. He killed her! I'm sure he did. And you're letting him get away with it. Please, my head hurts. And you say you loved her. You never loved her, you selfish child. I've always known you were this selfish. Just like your father. Stop! You throw people away. Didn't you throw me away when I inconvenienced you? Admit it. You were secretly relieved I died. No. Stop it. She screamed back at the last voice. Her mouth quivered. Guillaume stared at Rosa in shock. The outburst had accidentally come out aloud. It pulled the plug that kept the tears from pouring out. Now her vision clouded, and she blinked them away and again. She blinked them away again and again. She was not sobbing. She did not even realize her face was wet. Guillaume and Rosa stared at each other, both kindred in their sorrow. He knelt down by Rosa's bed and wiped her tears with his hand. He didn't say anything while doing this, and Rosa stared blankly ahead. It almost stunned her how many tears a person's eyes could carry. I loved her, Rosa. He said it after a while. I know what you're feeling. He didn't know if it was her own, or if Mother's anger was somehow influencing her, but her chest heaved. She balled her fists so tightly that her fingernails hurt. Shut up. She spat, and the man recoiled at the uncharacteristic bitterness in her voice. Catherine was afraid of you in her last days. You did something to her. I know it. She could feel Mother inside her head building up her anger. He has to be punished. You are to blame. He has to atone. I know you're guilty. He must be punished. Guillaume stared at her dumbfounded for a few seconds, but the man didn't try to appease her. He only stepped closer to Rosa and wrapped his arms around this hysterical girl. Let go of me! I hate you! Let me go! But Guillaume didn't. If you need something to hate, then I'll accept your hate. But you must accept my comfort too. I need you too. Right now, Rosa. You were the only one who loved her as much as I did. Guillaume's words brought back Catherine and Rosa's mind. Almost at once, the anger was replaced with a sadness so heavy she couldn't breathe. Why was she so angry again? She was focusing on anger instead of pain. It was easier. The real tears came, all for the loss of the girl they both loved. Tomorrow was not going to come. There was only right now, the loss, and two friends mourning a loved one. Rosa cried until she thought she wouldn't be able to stop, and Guillaume quietly held her. Slowly, her weeping began to subside into sobs, and only then did she speak again. Stay in the chateau, Rosa. I know you are thinking of leaving now that Catherine is gone, but I cannot let you wander the streets again. I will take care of you. It's what Catherine would have wanted. Like a spell being broken, these words brought back her anger. How could you possibly know what Catherine wants? She pushes his arms away from her. She's dead. Guillaume's mouth pursed, and he stepped away. I want you to go. Please leave me. Guillaume sighed and closed his eyes. I understand. He turned on his heels and left without another word. Hours seemed like minutes to her. She would fall asleep and awaken in unfit intervals so often that she had lost the exact time. Awake, she would stare at a part of the wall with no coherent thoughts forming in her mind. One would think morning should be spent in a depressive frenzy. All the reasons to grieve are yours after all. She could wail now if she wanted to. She could pull on her hair, curse the skies. She could reminisce the past, admire the frailty of human lives. Unfortunately, there was something more poetic. Pain was simple. It was clean. It was a well-sharpened knife that sliced through the heart in one stroke. No blood, no mess. Empty. When tears were spent, there was just a hole where your heart had been. The heart called out to you. It lingered. But since there was nothing there anymore, you couldn't find where the pain ended and you began. Rosa slept all day. The sun had gone twice before she shifted from her bed. She stood up slowly, deliberately, with a purpose. My child, you know I hurt when you're hurt. Already a surge of power flowed within her, fueled by her grief. The power filled her up, and there was so much emptiness inside that the energy seemed to saturate her whole body. Purpose was always a balm for grief. Mother, tell me what to do. What? Neither seems to be the right answer. Am I going the dark path right now? Is this what's happening? Did I make the wrong choices? Oh God. Justice? Start with his guilt, child. Then deliver punishment fitting for one so vile. He cannot get away with this. Rosa didn't speak, but started to form the words in her mind, feeling them in her bones, giving life to every thought. She took a small knife and carved a symbol on their floor. It didn't need much. A guilt spell. She didn't aim to punish, it only aimed to inform. She needed to know how much guilt the man carried, and the source of such guilt. If the guilt was concrete, it came from a direct action, then she would know Guillaume did something to Catherine. It had been a while since she had used magic. What the crap is happening right now? She's been a witch this entire time? It used to be the only way she could protect herself from the world. Mother had taught her, and now Mother guided her as she cast her spell. She needed a possession of the man. Rosa opted for his voice, still fresh from her memory. She focused on the last conversation they shared. If you need something to hate, I will take care of you. I need you. His words made Rosa feel distress and confusion. Always, it was this way with him. The feeling wasn't foreign. It had been there for years. I will always be here for you. Rosa felt a violent force upturn her stomach. It was that horrid lurch just before vomiting. You failed. The spell collapsed in her brain. Focus, idiot child, or you'll lose your chance. Rosa tried again. This time she focused on Guillaume's eyes. Cold, like flints of steel. Dark and fathomless. No grief, except perhaps for the situation. No Catherine. No pain of loss. This didn't matter to her. Their relationship was dying anyway. Where was his guilt? Rosa dug deeper. She increased the chanting on her lips. No torment. No uncertainty. No guilt. Did the spell fail again? She searched one more and found nothing. There was no guilt in Guillaume's eyes. She could stop the spell now, knowing that he was innocent. If the spell had worked, then Guillaume was blameless. But this absence was most distressing. Rosa desperately pushed her mind further, almost wishing there was traces hiding beyond their reach. Guilt should be present in any loss, no matter how little. Don't we blame ourselves for our own loss? Don't we hate ourselves, punish ourselves, even if it wasn't our fault? It didn't have to be real, but we need guilt to feel pain. But Guillaume didn't have a sliver of guilt. A vicious pain took hold of her again, squeezing her stomach with a murderous intent. The pain was so great, Rosa wasn't sure if the spell had failed or succeeded. Something's wrong. Before Rosa could agree with Mother, she felt a sharp pain in her throat. Rosa clutched her neck, scratching. A sharp, jagged lump was blocking her breathing. She could feel its edges crawl up her windpipe, tearing the soft walls as it moved around. The pain did not stop. Rosa fell to her knees and gagged. She thrashed about like a woman being strangled. Mother remained calmed, unaffected by Rosa's distress. Rosa was about to expel whatever it was. Tears ran down her face. Their horrible acidic taste coated her tongue. Finally, she opened her mouth and forced the vile thing out. She kept her eyes shut, afraid to look at whatever had come out of her. But the choking feeling gripped her, and she puked again. She spat after she vomited. Her spit felt heavy and thick in her mouth. It gathered around her knees in a growing pool. Rosa panted. Every breath was laced with pain. But gruesome effect had finally stopped. She wiped the sweat on her forehead. Something on the floor reflected light. She struggled to comprehend what was in front of her. She reached out with her hands, and the prick of something sharp made her recoil. She tried again, this time seeing more clearly. Rosa picked them up with shaking hands. Needles. In her palms were a handful of long metal needles. Rosa examined them with a horrified kind of curiosity. She stuck one in her thumb and it drew blood. They were real. They had materialized in her throat while casting a spell on Guillaume. Rosa wiped her mouth. There was something wrong with him. Something potent and dark. Or could it be she had merely botched the spell horribly? She had pushed her limits this time. She had gone too far. But still, a tugging concern was forming. It was as real as the metal needles in her hand. Rosa tried to stand up on her feet, but she was exhausted. Her knees failed her, and she crumpled on the floor like a rag. I knew it. Yeah, this is a little creepy. But I don't think we should get to the bottom of this because she's exhausted. Just say I knew it. I knew it. I knew it. That man. We must find out how to destroy him. Rosa stared at the needles in her hand. Who are you really, Diane? Portraits in candlelit. Wow. Jesus. All right. Whew. Got goosebumps. Rosa entered the room with a tray of pastries and pot of tea. Her duties were finished and she was allowed a bit of free time. She thought of accompanying Catherine for today's piano lesson. Kath, do you want some tea? The girl didn't look her way. She continued to churn out the bitter, melancholic sound from her piano. Rosa sighed, her shoulders slumped in defeat. She placed the food on the table. She sat on a stool beside the piano, twiddling her thumbs while her friend continued to stew in her foul mood. Is that the new composition? It sounds nice. Nowadays, you make a new piece every day. It's a shame they're all so sad. Catherine didn't reply to that, but when she spoke again, her words were bitter. Wait. Catherine? Oh, this is her grown up. Oh, Catherine, I thought it was Emily.
I saw them again. Those degenerate louts. No shame at all.
Kath?
Alright, consenting damn adults and all that. At least have the decency to close the door. Sometimes I dare say they want to get caught. When I walked in on them this morning, eating each other's faces, they had this look on them, like they were daring me to say something. Quoi? Do they want my applause? Very nice technique, sire. I very much like the way you swap your spit with my sister. Great tongue action. Très merveilleux.
Oh, so that's what was happening.
And he even has the gall to speak to me. Be a dear and put them on the table, Catherine, she even said. Like I'm a soft-headed giggle mob of a maid. He wanted me to get annoyed. I just know it. Well, Facier, I am.
Catherine turned to the tea and pastries, stuffing the buttered bread in her mouth. Easy there.
These damn things. These damn delicious things.
She said the last part angrily, as if blaming her troubles on the food's relish. Rosa giggled in spite of herself. Catherine wiped her mouth in mock anger.
What are you laughing, wench?
It's almost comical to watch you eat while you're angry, Kath. You're like giant monsters that attack defenseless towns in horror books.
Oh, yes?
Catherine made a sad, tiny squeal and picked up another piece of bread.
No, no, please spare us.
She adjusted her voice and boomed out a roar.
The Catherine monster of the deep doesn't show mercy to anyone.
She dropped it in her mouth and chewed savagely.
Yum! Annihilation is delicious with tea.
The two girls giggled. Catherine's rare smile turned into a rueful laugh, and soon Rosa felt her mood turning somber again. What happened anyway?
Aren't you annoyed by it too?
Sister
Sister has changed ever since she started helping in the chateau. Now it's all Guillaume this, Guillaume that. As if she wasn't already married. Ugh. She doesn't even care that people are talking behind her back. I'm tired of running around picking fights with gossipers. She hasn't even visited home for a long time. Father misses her a lot. He always asks about her. Father had worked so hard all these years just to give us a comfortable life. Now he's sick, and now she cares about that dastardly McKee.
Rosa shrugged. I am a little bit annoyed, but I guess I've gotten used to it. Their lives are their own, Kath. She didn't dare divulge more than to Catherine, but it was partially true.
I like Guillaume. He's a nice friend. But I love my sister. If they want to stay together, then why not fix this and have at it? What irritates me to my damn snatch is the way they are with each other.
Whoa! Catherine recently found the use of expletives endearing in her speech. Rosa hoped it was just a phase.
They're miserable. Any half-wit can see that.
Yes.
I've told Emily time and again to smarten up. She's hurting a lot of people, including herself. But as if she would listen to her 16-year-old brat of a sister, Even Guillaume is depressed, I can tell. Remember when he used to come and visited us to have tea? Or when we used to have picnics in the afternoon? We used to run around chasing rodents in the garden.
You ran around. We just watched you get dirty, actually.
That's true, you nitheads. Back then, it used to be fun visiting the chateau. Nowadays, we barely even see him. He just stays in the bureau all day brooding. Is this something adults subject themselves to, like a torture ritual? I really don't understand why two people are clearly unhappy keep at it.
Rosa did understand. At least some part of her did. She couldn't exactly explain how pain and love worked. All she knew that it had to do something with the absurd, obsessive amount of hope. She felt Mother tugging at her mind. She loved Mother so much. Living with the Perides gave her ample comparison to her former life. She had finally accepted that Mother was cruel. And yet Mother still gave her love and kept her from wanting. Was that crazy? Perhaps it was the only love she needed. Perhaps it was what she deserved. Rosa shook the thoughts from her mind and just shrugged. I know you're just worried about your sister, Kath, but they'll figure it out. Humans learn.
Look at you, all profound and such. You read any good books lately?
Just a riveting account of an ugly duckling and a baa black sheep.
Ah, a classics. I don't know how you put up with it though. I hate reading words.
In order to write, I have to learn how to read first. I want to write.
Why would you want to do a dastardly thing like writing?
Why would you want to hit some crazy strings until your fingers bleed? The two friends laugh again. I want to remember things. I want to write them down. But most of all, I want to feel the way you do when you play the piano, Kath.
Oh?
The way you look when you play. Your passion and bliss in musical form. Feels like love. Like magic. You inspire me to do something fulfilling and grand.
Well, I'm sure you will. Hey, why not write a play one day?
Oh?
Let's do it. You write an amazing play, and I shall provide the music. We'll travel around the country and perform. We'll make lots of money and gain lots of followers on YouTube, Instagram, and Twitch. We shall be known as the Parade Caravan of Wonders.
Parade. Are you sure?
Puns are the best. Trust me.
That sounds darn batty, Kathy.
From this day forward, nobody is allowed to call me Kathy ever again.
The sound of a knock interrupted their giggles. Catherine, it's me. I need to discuss something important with you. Frustrated, Catherine pouted at the sound of her sister's voice. She turned back to her piano and began to pound a sarcastically happy tune. Rosa stood up to open the door. Hello, Rosa. Madame. She had seen little of the older Parade sister recently, and it astounded her how old she had begun to look. Her once radiant face looked tired and harrowed, almost crone-like. Under her eyes hung huge bags, and yet she still looked quite dignified, full of pride and pomp. There was extra rouge in her skin, and her demeanor was elegant. It was as if pride was her only source of nourishment these days. Do you mind giving Catherine and me a moment of privacy? Rosa gave a small bow. Wait, did an illustrator? Of course not, madam. Rosa gathered her nursery books and squeezed Catherine's shoulder before stepping out of the room. Rosa entered the quiet room of the library. She was about to approach the table when she noticed Guillaume already occupying a seat. He was writing something in the book, somewhat immersed in the activity. Rosa stopped dead in her tracks. Oh man. Well, you can't ignore him forever. You guys live in the same house. I think that's how it works. Why are you so nervous anyway? Just ignore him. He doesn't seem to notice you. Fortunately, Guillaume lifted his head and saw her by the door. Oh, hello, Rosa. Rosa took a step back. Maybe it was best to walk away as if this was a mistake. But wouldn't that be rude? He had already seen her after all. But she had never been alone with him. This is just too awkward. Well, why not just go in? It was going to be fine. They had conversed normally before. Yet, that was because Catherine had been around to disperse her awkwardness. Now I look like an idiot. Guillaume watched her pace in front of the door in amusement. Rosa decided to go in. She was already embarrassed herself anyways. There was little left to lose. Besides, there was nowhere else to go in this big house. She had already gotten lost in its hallways, much to the annoyance of the maître d'. The library was her favorite place. If she stayed quietly in one corner, Rosa was sure she wouldn't bother each other. She took a seat at the farthest corner of the table and opened her book. Oh no, he's actually standing up and walking over. No, you horrible man, just sit over there while I sit over here. But Guillaume was already beside her, peeking at what she was reading. Cold sweat spread on her scalp. Rosa, that book. Rosa began to chatter nervously. I know it's a children's book, sire. I'm teaching myself to read. I know the most commoners don't really bother, but I want to learn. So please don't laugh or mock at me. Guillaume pointed to the book. It's upside down. Rosa stared at it. Ducks in the picture had their feet up in the air. Rosa squirmed, feeling the heat on her cheeks. She couldn't think of anything more embarrassing. I'm sorry. Guillaume's face lost its cheer. Why do you need my forgiveness for? Rosa looked up at Guillaume. His eyes lacked the gentle glint they usually had. It was such a subtle change, something felt rather than observed. She thought he would reprimand her further. His face certainly looked like it. Instead, he sat down beside Rosa, drumming his fingers on his cheek while he watched her wordlessly. Well, weren't you going to read? What was wrong with him today? He didn't seem like himself. Had he eaten something bad? The aura he exuded was not his usual friendly warmth. Yet, it wasn't particularly wicked. The look on his face just read slightly and eternally miffed. Rosa turned the book upright and read the words out loud. Once, that is the U with the short sound. It is pronounced like this. Guillaume made the sound, his face still in a lazy stare. Rosa nodded and continued. Her nerves were frazzled, but she was actually at ease in his presence. She felt like a child being taught by her parent. The parent was strict, but still caring. The child was jumpy, but eager to learn and please. Most of all, he would not hurt her for her mistakes. Rosa was almost sure. There. Libid. Lived. The past tense of live. Why do we change it? It is a rule of grammar that... Grammar? Guillaume narrowed his eyes at her. Do you even know your alphabet? Rosa shook her head. You should start there. Guillaume rose from his chair and disappeared amongst the shelves. He left behind an old, thick book covered in a green felt. This was what he had been writing in earlier. It looked tattered and worn. The pages laid fat on its side so that the book didn't close properly. Rosa reached out to peek at the cover when... You are not to touch that. Rosa's whole body froze at the sound of Guillaume's warning. Guillaume's stare followed her even as she whispered numerous apologies under her breath. Sorry. Guillaume just rolled his eyes. You are always seeking forgiveness for everything. Am I? I'm sorry. His hand struck the table in front of Rosa. In the quiet library, the sound rang uncomfortably in her ear. When she looked up, Guillaume's face was looming severely above hers. He moved closer to her, his eyes fixed on her intensely. Rosa's mouth hung open. She struggled to say something, but her wits were like the burning ends of a matchstick. Before she could compose herself, she felt Guillaume's hand lift her chin. Rosa's heart thumped loudly inside her chest. Please don't. Not you too. She felt his breath on her face, and her heart sank into despair. Mother's voice resounded in her head. In the end, they are all the same. He is like everyone else. She shut her eye and prepared for the worst, like she always did when... Then she felt her face being turned from side to side. She opened her eye to see Guillaume studying her face like a textbook. You are a fairly attractive girl. Why do you carry yourself as if it is sight? He lifted the hair that hid her damaged eye. Rosa clenched her teeth. Is it because you were hurt before? He said it so matter-of-factly, like he was just stating that the sky was blue. Rosa recoiled from his touch. No, I did that to myself. I wasn't talking about your eye. He placed the book on the table. There was a thin pamphlet filled with letters. There were lines on the book that instructed the user to trace letters with their quill. Rosa wanted to focus on it, but she could feel the truth in the Marquis's words stinging her. It was the way you went limp when I touched you. Next time, I advise you to fight back. If you don't want to be touched, then you don't have to be. Do you understand this? But I'm weak. Says who? His eyes were humorless. The world cares not for people who think of themselves as victims, Rosa. If you need power, then be powerful. To have it, it is necessary to crush things along the way. Rosa flinched under the weight of his stare. She realized the polite and courteous Guillaume was just a facet. It was still him, but it was nothing but an oil portrait, an artwork of his devising. Synthetic, aloof, and irrelevant. It couldn't capture his essence in a few human strokes. Suddenly, Rosa realized he was powerful. Who are you? She caught herself before saying it out loud. You are not Guillaume. And yet, he spoke to her as if he knew what it was like to hurt and to fear. If you don't start acting like yourself, then people will not hesitate to take everything. He laid out the rest of the books he had brought out. One was an activity book for children. It had a picture of a child holding an apple with an arrow stuck on it. Another was a book of limericks. The other two were thicker books that intimidated her. She would come to know them as Hamlet and Paradise Lost. But the one that caught her eye was an ornately designed book. It had a beautiful red jacket with delicate gold trimmings lining the corners. The gods and the goddesses of Roman mythology. This would be her favorite book, her treasure, and she knew it was like love at first sight. These books are yours. Take them with you. Read the thin ones first, then gradually build your vocabulary with the thicker ones. Rosa ran her hands over the skin of the red book. She opened the cover gingerly, as if carefully unwrapping a present. Thank you. No thanks needed. I simply showed you some books from a portion of the library you were unaware of. You are still so generous, even if you are like this. Like what? That. What? Somewhat irritable. Guillaume didn't reply, leaving an awkward silence lingering between them. Then he gave a giant laugh that made Rosa jump out of her skin. I do look damn irritable, don't I? Why? Is it because of Emily? Guillaume's eyes drifted away. No. I've always been. You just pointed it out. But you're not usually like this. Especially with Catherine and townspeople. I found it easy to adapt to people, especially to the ones I like. Guillaume looked at Rosa as if he had just become aware of her presence. Makes me why I'm so stern with you. I'm sorry. Rosa shook her head. I somehow prefer this side of you. Guillaume cocked his head to the side. I literally just did the same thing. What? Why would you? He brought out the green book that Rosa noticed earlier. This is called a journal. When you learn to write, start one. What is it? Something you can use to remember yourself when you've forgotten. Does it work? It used to. Nowadays, not anymore. Oh. The act itself is the only thing I remember. No. Let's start with your vowels. A scream pierced the halls of the chateau. It was Catherine. Guillaume sprinted to the door with Rosa not far behind. Back in the piano room, Catherine took a shaky step towards her sister. She wasn't moving at all.
I didn't. It was an accident. Emily?
She was overcome with the urge to approach her sister and shake her awake, make sure she was okay, but it was a nasty fall.
Emily?
Catherine saw the way her sister's head snapped back as it collided with the sharp corner of the piano. She watched it all like a series of photographs in her head. She had to check on her, but her feet refused to move. Instead, she began to retreat in a corner. She didn't even notice her legs were moving until her forehead touched the wall. She didn't want to turn around. Her sister was on the floor. Her eyes were still open, unblinking. It was an accident. It was nothing but an accident. Was it? She pushed first. She got really scary. She strangled me. What? That's absurd. Are you sure? Would she do that? I don't know. I think she did. Catherine touched her throat. It felt fine. That Paride girl, Emily, is it? She really believes just because the Marquis took her in that he's interested in her. Well, she's obsessed with the master. The apple doesn't fall far from the tree. Wasn't her mother a bit, not right in the head? It probably runs in the family. Emily had looked mad. Her eyes had burned with malice for her as she had closed her fingers around Catherine's neck, but she couldn't remember if that had really happened. Sister had always been kind to her. She would never, ever hurt her, even when they got into fights. Sister loved her. Am I turning mad? I have the blood of a madwoman. Am I going to end up like that? I only told her the truth. Guillaume doesn't care for her, and she doesn't even care for him that much either. It was all chaff. Their relationship. No sense trying to make everyone else miserable too. But she called me jealous and a bitch. She never called me a bitch. She said they have decided to send me away. My lessons sent home. The piano replaced. It was for my own good, she said. I don't have to travel here all the time. I can concentrate on my other endeavors. I can make new friends. But I know she just doesn't want me near the Chateau of Guillaume. She hates it when I catch her with him. Perhaps this morning was the last straw. She hates it, but she also smirks at me when I see them. Like she basks in it. I think I might hate her. Catherine's thoughts ran through her head like a storm. They poured out of her aimlessly. I wonder if the piano is broken. Am I going to pay for that? What will become of us without sister's wages? What of father's medicine? What are my dreams? Sister can't be dead. She can't be dead. Catherine brought her fingers to her lips and nibbled on her thumb. She didn't notice this. Her mind was preoccupied. She was in her corner of the wall, biting her fingers. It was a tiny comfort in a rapidly collapsing world. Guillaume opened the door and found Emily lying on the floor. An ugly gash broke the skin of her forehead. Facing the wall was Catherine, shivering like a leaf and viciously devouring one of her fingernails. He approached her cautiously. Catherine? Rosa was out of breath, but still able to let out a gasp at the scene. Emily's lifeless eyes stared up at nothing, while Catherine pressed herself into a corner. What had happened after she left? Rosa, will you call for help, please? See that someone checks on Emily. Rosa did as she was told, but what she really wanted to do was hug Catherine herself. Guillaume took a small step towards her. He called out her name slowly, coaxingly. Catherine turned her head, her thumb still on her lower lip.
It was an accident. I swear.
Of course it was, Catherine. Of course it was.
She pushed me first. She wanted me sent away. She wanted me gone.
You can tell me about it later. Let me take you away from this room.
What have I done?
Catherine fell to her knees and wept. Large sobs sucked the air out of her. She felt like drowning, like trying to keep herself afloat in between sobs. Every exhale was a wheezing pain in her lungs. She felt Guillaume's arms wrap around her.
What have I done? What have I done?
You didn't do anything, ma chérie. This is not your fault. There was a bitter bulge building up in her throat, and she felt that no amount of crying could push it back down.
What am I going to do? Father is... Sister... I'm so scared.
Guillaume's arms would wound tighter around her, and she clutched on his warmth in this vast sea of fear. You don't have to be. I will always be by your side. Catherine, I will take care of you and your father, all right? You don't worry. You don't have to worry about your future. Her tears soaked his shirt through, but the squeezing in her chest felt less painful.
Why? Why do you do this? Why do you care so much for me?
Guillaume's brows furrowed, as if confused that she had even asked. I just do. It was a boldly stated fact, as if painfully obvious, as if Catherine was a fool for not knowing it. It made Catherine's heart expand in her ribs. When she looked back, she would recall this moment as the moment she fell in love with him. The look in his eyes was reassuring and strong. She wasn't alone. She was going to be all right. Let's get you away from there. He supported her arms and stood her up, careful to block the view of her sister from her eyes. He led her to the door. Catherine hated how fast her relief came. She was still drenched in sorrow at her sister's death. Her father would not take well to the news, especially in his health, but she was all right, and she hated it. Rosa was with her. She didn't have to leave her piano, her dreams, him. Nothing had to change. And most importantly, she hated the voice that came whispering in her head over and over again. Thank goodness she's dead. Thank goodness. The first candle is lit. This candle is storage. The love for familiars. The cleanest love. Rosa stared at the blue candle glowing in her hand as she chanted their spell. Trust is the veil that conceals and deceives. Trick his eyes and his heart with the warmth from this candle's flame. A bond of blood like kin will be forged. Weave this trust so his tongue will yield to what is thought. Rosa stood by Catherine's tomb, nursing memories of her. The soft wind lightly blew her hair. It reminded her of Catherine and her playful ways. Tears sprouted from her eye, even the wind. I am always here, my love. Loss will always hurt. But you love Mother the best, don't you? Yes, Mother. Then you're going to be fine. I will never leave you like Catherine did. Rosa? Kiem's soft voice came from behind. Rosa glanced at him in acknowledgement. He stood quietly beside her for a few moments, but ventured to speak. Have you thought about my offer? My house is always open for you, remember that. I'm sorry for my outburst back then. It's nothing. The wind played around their feet, and Rosa pictured Catherine as part of the breeze, playful and free. She was free from pain and confusion that plagued her in the last days. They stood beside each other in solemn reverence. Finally, Rosa broke the silence. She was my family. I was in pain before she came along. I didn't know any better. She gave me hope. She was bright, like a flame. When I close my eyes, I can still see the imprint of her light in the darkness. I can feel her warmth. A star. They didn't speak again for some time. Guillaume cleared his throat. I was an orphan, too, much like you. I know what it feels to lose too much. I wandered for a time before I found anything to live for. Were you alone? Sometimes. Always. Rosa nodded. Did you have family? Guillaume shifted uncomfortably. No, they, left me behind. I never knew them. Much of my memory is blurred. I was taken in by kind people once before, but... Guillaume sighed, and Rosa observed a certain disquiet in him. I didn't belong. But you have no difficulty mingling with people. I think of it as a necessity rather than preference. But either way, it can be quite tiresome after a while. Things don't last. I don't know why I'm telling you this. I'm making the mood worse. I am sorry. I don't mind. Guillaume had never opened up to her about his past before, and it worried Rosa how little she actually knew about him. Anyway, would you like to go around town? I'd very much like to take you someplace more cheery. How about our favorite spot? Guillaume smiled with understanding. The pair traveled up a hill at the edge of town. There, the view overlooked the quaint village. The sunset painted everything in the pink glow of dusk, of endings. It's always so beautiful here. They used to spend time in the grassy knoll, the three of them. It was, like their own little hideaway. Memories of the past crept up on every corner, the ghost of laughter echoed in the wind. Rosa touched the trunk of a small tree they had carved their names on. So many fond memories. Rosa, I want you to have this. Guillaume took Rosa's hand and placed an item in their palm. It was a simple silver locket. She looked up at him questioningly. I've had that for as long as I could remember. One of my remembrances of the past. I can't take this. You must. You'll need it more than I do. But it's old, and the locket doesn't even open anymore. Don't know why I've held it onto it for so long. Can't remember how I came to have it, but it comforts me. Maybe it will have the same effect up for you. This is your treasure, Guillaume. It feels wrong to take it. On the contrary, I believe you must have it. Call it a hunch, or a feeling, an urge on my part. I'm not good with expressing sorrow, or even giving comfort. But I want to do something at least. For you. He closed his hand over hers, affirming the gift. It's yours. Please take it. You're wrong if you think I am letting you stay in the castle simply for Catherine's sake. I do it of my own accord. Let me do this for you, Rosa. We have been friends for quite a while. If you need to leave, at least stay until you feel free. At least stay until you feel ready to go. Alright. But I will continue working in your household for my lodging. You don't have to do that. I can raise your status to a lady. You can read and write now, and very well. I'm sure you'll be more comfortable in a higher position. I have no need for a higher position, just free access to your library. You have come a long way from a shy girl back then, Rosa. Watching you grow has been a pleasure. Yes, the library is yours. They were quiet for a while, only conversing through looks, smiles, and tiny sighs. Rosa realized that she'd been holding on to Guillaume's hand the entire time. She broke off from his hand, rather embarrassed. We should head back. You're right. It's getting quite late. Guillaume walked over to the carriage to get ready. Excellent, child. Being a maid in his household will give you free access to the rooms. He trusts you completely. It seems the candle worked. I guess so. Rosa looked at the silver necklace in her hand. She fiddled with it, trying to open the lock. I am curious. Open that lock. I'd like to see what is inside. An object he owns will make any enchantment more powerful. No, that's not the reason. I was just curious. Rosa fussed with the pendant for a while, but like Guillaume said, it was stuck. I'll try again later, Mother. I am rather curious about it myself. The spell will start its effect in stages, gradually uncovering his true face. Fondness first, then trust. Familiarity. Rosa sighed. But was the spell necessary at all? Didn't she already have that with Guillaume? Rosa bit her lip, remembering the warmth of his hand. They had known each other for a long time. It was rather comforting to have someone to warn with. However, Rosa did find it strange that Guillaume rarely even mentioned Catherine anymore. It was as if he was shedding her off like skin. Again, the pain in her throat resurfaced. The memory of the needles made her stomach lurch. Since her friend had died, the Marquis had been spending all his hours locked in his office. He barely showed himself socially, rarely even attended meals. But they were casting a powerful spell, something that might harm Guillaume. What if he was, after all, innocent? She had spent She had years of good memories with him. What was she even expecting to find out? Exactly how could she live with the guilt of 2 dead friends? Rosa sighed. She cared for him. Despite all the suspicions, she knew that much. But Mother was adamant. 3 candles for 3 loves. A fitting curse for a man who frolics in love's domains. Storge, the love for familiars. Philia, the love for friends. And Eros, the love for lust. Open his heart with Storge. Unmask him with Philia. Strike him down with Eros. Yet Rosa kept a 4th candle, one she had named Agape. Unconditional love. She didn't know whether she would ever use it. Mother, of course, would object. But in case Eros successfully struck Guillaume, she wished to alight Gape. At least give him peace before. Rosa walked towards Guillaume, a pang of anxiousness biting at her. Rise, my daughter. The work lays ahead. To bring him down, we must find his weakness. Then we attack. His due punishment will be swift, my dear daughter. Do it for Mother. Alright, that's where I'm ending it. I think that was a good place to stop playing. Oh my god. This was... Actually, this is, I should say. Excuse me. This is a really dark one. I didn't expect it from a visual novel. I thought all visual novels were like fan-made sort of love games. This one is like somewhat creepy and dark and I don't know. If you like this, please tell me by commenting or whatever it is for YouTube these days, like subscribing. Is that the thing now? Anyways, hope you enjoyed this one, and yeah, I'll have to just, I guess, prepare myself mentally to play this one again. I was actually expecting something similar to Cinderella Phenomenon, like a love story. But this one was dark from moment 1. So I was just... Whew. Anyways, hope you have a good one, and I'll see you at the next game. Bye!